My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to my segment called The Knowledge Vault. This is where I read books that I'm allowed to read and share, that I'm nudged to read and share. Um, I have finished volume one of Handbook for the New Paradigm, and it resides in its own playlist. This is the second video of the second book. The first video had two channelings in it. This one's I've decided I'm going to do them separately this go round, so they'll be short and sweet. So this is for those of you who are following along in the book with me, volume two, Embracing the Rainbow, and I am on chapter 3 or channeling number 3, and it begins here on page 149. When the time comes for the changes to begin in earnest, I did say if you wanted to start from the beginning to go to the channel, look under playlists, and find volume 1, and this is volume 2. Okay, I think I did say that, but just in case. When the time comes for the changes to begin in earnest with regard to the change of governmental focus, there will be an outcry by the citizens. Again, I suspected these were written actually way before 2018. This book was published in 2018, but some of the wording and some information that was shared with me that I'm trying to double check the veracity of would seem to indicate that these may have actually started out as emailed channelings. I'm not certain of that. Like I said, these are, I think they may be quite a bit older. So the fact that this actually is saying this right here, and I am just now nudged to share this, just more synchronicities for me. Because I'm going to start that again so you really get the focus of what that is. When the time comes for the changes to begin in earnest with regard to the change of governmental focus, there will be an outcry by the citizens. Measures are planned so that the individual will be overwhelmed and unable to react in any way but to submit. It is expected that they will grovel before the God that is on his throne far away and think that they are being punished for some great sin. In other words, play the victim. And I got to pause here and say, boy, have we not seen the victim empowerment? Actually, even a mentality of victim, empower the victim. It's almost like over the last few years. Back to the book here. The inner strength of the focus of the soul has been totally disregarded. The planned shock of overwhelming the citizens as a whole has been analyzed and studied to bring forth the reaction that is desired. As in all experiments, I said it was an experiment. I said it was an experiment. As in all experiments, the outcome is influenced by the expectations of those setting up the criteria. The quote, scientific data so prized by the scientists of this era is as accurate as the opinions of the moment allow. Isn't that interesting? Thus, as new possibilities are considered, the old theories crumble eventually and are replaced. This indicates that the possibility exists that the expected reactions of humanity might indeed be replaced by actions that do not fit their planned scenario. That's very interesting. Mankind has been taught to distrust his fellow beings. Few have any realization of the interconnections that exist through the sharing of the source of their manifestation into experience. Since all are emanations of the creator focus in self-contemplation, You can rely on the fact that there are connections that are unknown and power within these connections that is wholly untapped. And I'm telling you, sometimes I can feel that connection, but I don't know what it is exactly. I've experienced this many times. Lisa experienced it with me. We've figured out now how this works, what it is we're feeling. Lisa felt it with me that there was something that we were to do. She was communicating with me on a higher level, but the little me didn't know it. I was obviously communicating with her in real time that, well, one of the reasons she always said I was very congruent. She could talk to me in her heart space, and she could talk to me in person and get the same answer, right? That's the true test for her. And when I encountered Chris Hemphill from Journey into It, I felt that same thing. That I think she described. I knew we had stuff to do, what it was, what way we develop into. I had no clue. I don't, and I used to be upset about that, but I view it in a very different way after, especially after reading these chapters. There's reasons that we don't know what we don't know, and I even was sent a earworm from in the form of the song from U2, Beautiful Day. There's a lyric in there that kept playing over and over and over in my head. What you don't have now, what you don't have, you don't need it now. What you don't know now, you will feel it somehow. And it kept playing over and over in my head. That is how my innate speaks to me. Everybody will be different, right? And these are the wholly untapped connections I feel this is referring to. And we've all felt this, but we don't know what it is. And maybe there are reasons that we don't know yet. I started figuring it out. My guidance started sharing with me. I'm very good in an emergency. I think I would fall to pieces if I knew what was coming and not be ready and prepared to handle it. But I'm the type of person that is able to step up, handle it in the moment, and fall apart afterwards. And not everybody has that capability, right? So there's a part of me that kind of now feels like, oh, okay, this is partly well that, and I'm a big mouth. I share everything I know. So there's another reason for that. But so back to the book here. But this is what I feel like this is referring to, and I had to stop and share that. And I'm going to read it again just so you guys can, because this is really kind of huge here. I'm going to start to the beginning of this paragraph. Mankind has been taught to distrust his fellow beings. Few have any realization of the interconnections that exist through the sharing of the source of their manifestation into experience, meaning we are all one and yet singular, which is exactly what I have felt, right? Since all are emanations of the creator focus in self-contemplation, you can rely on the fact that there are connections that are unknown and power within these connections that is wholly untapped. We just have to relax into ourselves and believe that is so, and it will move forward. That's what it keeps feeling like for me. So don't ask me how to relax into yourself yet, because I'm still getting the hang of that. Back to the book. We have previously discussed the concerns of the situation as it presently exists on this planet, and the importance of the convergence of the cycles with regard to the importance of the transitions that are available. It has been emphasized that all levels of consciousness, including the creator, are focusing upon this process. At this sequential place in the scenario, watchfulness is all that is being focused. However, when it is appropriate, you may be assured that activation of latent abilities that are available within the consciousness and the physical structure of the human body can and will be stimulated. Now, I find this quite interesting given a whole lot of my own personal internal guidance and Lisa's internal guidance, which is just totally separate and different than mine, but yet very similar and the same in terms of this whole being activated and stimulated within the human body, because it's going on constantly. The ability to receive this stimulation and accomplish what will be needed will depend upon the conscious awareness, and in particular, the ability to accept self-empowerment within a holistic pattern of behavior. The energies that will be encountered in the approach to and passage into what you refer to as the photon belt will not be the same as are being experienced now. The last of the current polarity cycle is reaching its completion. Here again, it is difficult to put into linear terms for your understanding processes that are of a holographic nature. Within a holographic framework, all is interactive within a cooperative format. When an imbalance is present, all that remains in balance becomes focused to regain the balance of the whole. There is a generation of interactive energies to awaken latent connections, to bring forth whatever is necessary to allow the return to balance. Okay, yeah, that's wow. I was just shown something huge. Yeah, there are beings in place. And quite frankly, I wouldn't look for them because they don't even know who they are. And that's a very real statement right there. Very real statement. And that's what this means right there. There is a generation of interactive energies to awaken latent connections, to bring forth whatever is necessary to allow the return to balance. Oh, yeah. We return again to the because I have said many times that I know I set up multiple redundancies. Whatever it is, however we set all of this up to experience for ourselves, I programmed multiple wake-up calls, multiple exit points as well, because I've experienced some of them, and I've experienced the actual jumping of timelines too, in all of that. But yeah, back to the book, we return again to the understanding that thought has the capability to think. All that is manifested in all forms is thought into being from pure potentiality and is interactive within itself. And that message seems to be broadcast to me everywhere I look. The metaphor is the same. I see these puzzle pieces in different places that connect so much that is exactly what this is. And it says exactly this. In its simplest explanation, each human is a thought that thinks and therefore is self-aware. As above, so it is below. The entire galaxy and more is thought that thinks and is self-aware. The goal of the new paradigm, in simple terms, is the transition of humanity from victim consciousness into self-empowerment. which will result in a rise in the vibratory emanation of the planet and its inhabitants. I've been wandering around saying for the longest time that power over other energetic is no longer supported on this planet. It has been played to death on every level. And even the desire of someone to play with me when they don't want to play with me is a power over other energetic. I had to deal with that within my own self. Right? And I had to learn to let that go too. Planting the means to make this transition is the goal of this segment of the ground team. Once planted and released to accomplish its intended effect, the stimulation of the latent connections will move it through the mass consciousness to all humans able to accept and begin to function within its concepts. Yeah, it's not, it requires an open and curious seeking perspective. It has to be open, that's for sure. Open to seeing that not everything is what it's, well, nothing is what it seems, honestly. I mean, that's just the truth of it. The next step to follow will be the spread of the understanding of the 4 basic universal laws and the application of these within each individual experience. These concepts are included in the handbook, and once the critical few begin to study and practice them, more latent connections will begin to open to the stimulation that will be coming to the planet with increasing frequency. I know we all feel that. It is easy to get caught up in the fear of what might happen based on the present consciousness of the planetary inhabitants. However, it is important to stay within the understanding that this consciousness is ripe for change, and that is now underway. There are other ground teams accomplishing their assignments that dovetail and provide the holographic synthesis that is now taking shape. That's why if you move towards what brings you joy and don't worry about any other kind of thing, you don't know that that which brings you joy isn't exactly your mission, and that it might be dovetailing with something else that's been going on somewhere else in the ethereal or in the physical. Now, I've seen that too now. All puzzle pieces that make perfect sense. People wandering around, minding their own business, not even realizing that they're traipsing their metaphysical energy, their joy, that they are accomplishing a esoteric, if you will, mission. There are lots of those. I've watched it going on with people trailing their beautiful, loving energy around in different areas of the world, the country, the area, the just whatever. Not even knowing what they're doing. How do you know it ain't interconnected? I'm telling you it is. And so I'm going to go back here and say the situation is not hopeless, but is encouraging indeed. As each member has been stimulated into awakening to their assignments and have proceeded most times through the need to do whatever it may, whether it made any logical sense or not. And there's lots of people that go out and do stuff that don't make any sense to anybody else, but they just feel driven to do it. So they're going to do it, and it brings them joy to do it. So also will that process spread through the mass consciousness. You have been programmed to distrust your humanness. Through empowering the personal self, it is necessary that you choose to trust the empowerment of your fellow man as well. Will there be exceptions? Yes, there will. One of the latent functions that will be stimulated will be discernment. You will know, and when you trust the process, those will not be encountered. Victim consciousness will draw victim experience through the law of attraction. Those who move to self-empowerment in a holistic way will continue to evolve into greater experience and be drawn together to create the new paradigm. I find that to be absolutely so. Doing the kind of shadow work and the exploration of self in company and knowing that we are all doing this now, I mean, in such a huge way, and it's made the trip so enjoyable, for one thing, and much quicker too. This is not a message of deception. You are thought capable of thinking. There is a group consciousness that thinks. You can change your mind or your thinking, and so can it. It is a matter of seeding the process with an alternative that has powerful appeal. Once put into usage, its power increases, especially if it receives additional input from the concerned foci of greater levels of manifested awareness. Oh, wow. Okay, wow. I just, right before reading this, watched, and I was guided to look at, there's a particular reader that really picks up my energy. And I was guided to take a look at her reading for my rising sign, which is Aquarius. And oh my God, she never has my Libra energy, but boy, she did this time. And oh my God, this is that. This is what that's speaking to. Oh my God, that means, okay, I'm going to read this again because I had to highlight it for book club study too, which we are doing. And if you find yourself drawn and interested, we are beginning at the very beginning of this book. We're going to read it together and discuss it as we go, beginning Friday, September the 8th, which is this coming Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're interested, hit me up, consciousconversationcentral@gmail.com. Or if we're already friends on Facebook, send me a private message and I'll be happy to send you the link. So I'm going to go back here and read this again. There is a group, well, I'm going to read the whole paragraph. This is not a message of deception. You are thought capable of thinking. There is a group consciousness that thinks. You can change your mind or your thinking, and so can it. It is a matter of seeding the process with an alternative that has powerful appeal. Once put into usage, its power increases, especially if it receives additional input from the concerned foci of greater levels of manifested awareness. Physical manifestation is an end result of focused thought. I've said that all along. Focus and attention is how we create. We create as we move. We just don't realize it. And we create willy-nilly. That's my thoughts. If through choice and request, the focused thought is changed, then the physical manifestation must also change. This understanding is easy to forget with the continued input of mind-controlling data that is purposefully focused into daily experience. This is the reason each is encouraged to continue to reread and study the handbooks. And I will say, go within and trust your own guidance on this and every other thing. Developing trust with self is the most important thing because that will never steer you wrong. That's been my experience anyway. So, yeah, this understanding is easy to forget with the continued input of mind controlling data that is purposefully focused into daily experience. This is the reason each is encouraged to continue to reread, and study the handbooks. The information is simple, direct, and contains no techniques other than offering a solution that dovetails within the flow of expansive energies that maintain all creation and allow it to continue within the universal laws. The free will aspect is both the thorn and the blossom of the process. It is the vital emanation of creative energy. It has at its essence both positive and negative polarity and is not bound by cycles. The polarities are available on the whim of decision, which allows it to alter creation at the manifested level. Free will cannot be controlled. No, this is true. It cannot. That is why there's so much effort into trying to make folks believe they don't have a choice. When in fact, you have free will choice in every moment. If you think you don't have a choice, you are simply making a choice to believe that. That's the way I look at it anyway. I love that. I think it should be a teacher. Free will cannot be controlled. I might have to look into that. It can be influenced, but at any point, individual consciousness can simply change its thinking, and the influence is cast aside. Thought can create an experience, and thought can change it into another experience entirely. I know this to be true on my own in a very real way. Combined focus of thought is all powerful when it operates within the universal laws and is supported by emotional commitment. I keep seeing where two or more are gathered there. The return to self-empowerment following the experience of containment and victim experiences will bring forth an emotional sensation to the soul that equates to joy, the joy so often spoken of by religions. I feel that to be true. Just as love and hate cannot share the same heart, neither can joy and a victim perception share the same experience. Boy, I think that's a true statement. The courage to choose comes as the responsibility of humanity to create its experience, in this instance, with all possible help available for the asking. Wow, that's the end of number 3. I'm going to do these individually from here on out because I like the idea of having them a little shorter. So that concludes this one. I'm going to jump right into the next one. I hope you're enjoying them. If you found this and you listened to all the way to the end, you may want to go back to the beginning, which is in a separate playlist, and just listen. I've set it up so they'll roll right over. And till next time, I hope you all will be well and yeah, follow what brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It's really just a matter of your own perception and perspective of your perspective and perception of your perspective. Till next time, be well, my friends.